Forced to become hero in a new world, he just wants to rest in peace. If you dig my recaps, don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell. Under a heavy rain, the melancholic air contrasted with the heavy current of the aqueduct where a couple walked as if it were a beautiful sunny day in the park. As they approached the rapids, the man said this was the true man-eating river. Leaning on his arm, the woman beside him called out for the sensei to leave, so they tied a rope connecting their wrists, and thus the man declared they would be together forever. Suddenly, a runaway truck appeared on the muddy road and ran over the couple. On this day, a certain great author and his lover left this world. After this tragedy, the man woke up in an unknown sanctuary looking around with a strange disinterest at his foiled plan. Analyzing the statue of an angel, he supposed this was the world we go to after death, a place with a rather Western style. However, a woman appeared and explained that this was not the destination for the dead. Introducing herself as the guide for those who descend to this world, she said her name was Annette. According to her, the newly deceased was chosen to enter this land, surrounded by darkness Zauberberg, to become a hero who must bring light and hope. Showing no motivation with what was said, the man realized that in other words, besides having failed in his plan to take his life alongside his lover, he was also brought to this strange place without his consent. With a slight laugh, he put his hand on his head and stated that his life had always been a great shame. Without time for the young man's drama, Annette warned that he had an urgent mission to fulfill, but the hero had swallowed several sedatives to leave this life behind. Desperate, Annette detoxified him with her magic, although he didn't like it much. The guide ordered the adventurer to get up to fulfill his destiny of saving this planet, but the renowned author wanted nothing to do with heroism. He just wanted to die, period. While the woman fumed as she explained that he was the chosen one, he gathered the sedatives from the ground and slowly swallowed a few, then laughed sarcastically and emphasized that he hadn't asked to be chosen for anything. Annette asked if he was visited by a truck, and remembering the moment of the accident, he said yes. So she explained that it was the selection truck for the other world running over heroes who, among all the depressed people who lived on planet Earth, only those crushed by the sweet rubber of the tire could start from scratch and build a life truly worth living in this world of adventures. However, in the author's mind, his only chance of being happy was jumping into that stream with his beloved, and that elf with a pope hat ruined everything, saying that he asked who they were to decide whether someone was unhappy or not. Internally, Annette cursed the man for his ingratitude. Anyway, she was sure he would change his mind when he saw the status he gained in this place, because every human brought here receives the ability to wield superhuman powers. The thing is, as soon as she saw the man's status, he was a complete weakling with a measly 1 point of life and poisoned. The guy was practically a walking corpse. Not wanting to let it go, the guide searched every corner of the status for any special ability she might have missed, but all she found were packs of cigarettes, sedatives, and a notebook with a pen in the inventory. There was no way around it. The guy was indeed a human slime with lung cancer. Not that he was disappointed, as he had no expectations, but the author turned his back and announced that he was leaving. Feeling guilty, Annette grabbed his wrist and apologized for everything, assuming they might have brought him by mistake. Given that the guy was extremely weak, she made it clear that he would not survive in this world. Once again, he laughed and replied that this had always been his life, whether in his original world or now. Not wanting to leave the human adrift, Annette asked him to stay inside for now, as going out would expose him to the many dangers outside, but the sensei didn't expect to live. On the contrary, he wouldn't mind giving up everything to never exist again, saying that he turned and left while the guide watched with teary eyes, noting that this human was different from the others. There was a time when Annette took pride in guiding inhabitants from another world, welcoming people with open arms and getting excited to meet all kinds of folks from an alternate reality. Until one day she received an arrogant boy who was one of those employees exploited to the bone by his company, and the idea of becoming a hero went to his head. Arrogant, the kid bragged about everything he did, and every time Annette found herself praising the guy's performance without thinking that maybe she had become just a hero worshiper instead of a woman guiding the representatives of light in this world. So to reverse this situation, she asked Sensei to at least find a profession before leaving, and he turned with a smirk and informed her that he was already a born writer, nothing more or nothing less. He said goodbye to the girl with the pretty ears and left for good. As the sanctuary gate closed, Annette was sure she had been waiting for this man to arrive. Instead of a thrush or a vulture in this world, fierce and aggressive dragons flew in the skies. Beneath them on the ground walked the depressive writer who didn't understand a single thing written on the direction signs. As if that weren't enough, he had no doubt that he would never find a cup of coffee around there. Out of nowhere, some internal system alerted that the guide discovered the landmark Great Plains of Erston, earning him 5 experience points. With a terrible headache, Sensei asked the voice to stop talking inside his ear, but the system then announced that he had leveled up to level 2 using a noisy, heroic symphony in the background. Next, he notices the presence of a death tree holding a girl hostage, and she begs the adventurer for help, assuming that's what he is, of course. However, the writer doesn't lift a finger. He just observes, noting that today is the day he meets people with strange ears. Regardless, he acknowledges that women on the brink of death have a unique charm, so he asks the girl if he can write a romance based on her. She screams to be saved again, and he finally realizes she needs help, so he stretches his arms up to grab her, but his height isn't enough. The girl asks if he has a sword or spell, but just as he's about to answer, Sensei is also grabbed by the death tree. At least he's relieved it's by the neck, because it cuts off his air supply. With little time left, he says it was a pleasure to meet her, but she doesn't feel the same. Pleasure is something they won't experience when the tree uses its suction to steal their life force. In other words, they have only a few minutes to live. Hanging by his neck, this is the news Sensei had prayed for. As he feels weaker, he sings the song, "I Have to Go Now," until his neck bends forward in his final moments. An ominous energy escapes his body, spreading through the death tree's branches until it consumes the entire structure, causing an explosion that frees the prisoners. While Sensei laments not having died, the system announces that 300 damage was inflicted by the adventurer's poison. To make his headache worse, the symphony returns to announce another level up. Curious about all this, the cat girl asks what his deal is because he pretended to be weak, yet after what just happened, he clearly has some sophisticated tricks up his sleeve. But he doesn't answer her question. He just reflects that for the 5th time he asked for death and death did not come. In a way, he doesn't know who's winning this contest. The girl says she doesn't know why the guy is depressed, but she's happy he survived, so she thanks him for the help, invites him to her home, and asks the adventurer's name. He says he's called Sensei, and when the man feels his hand being pulled by the girl, he immediately remembers Seiken, who said the exact same thing the cat girl did when they were about to kill themselves. Thinking about this, he wonders if Seiken also came to this world while repeating his beloved's name over and over. Thinking the guy is calling her by that name, the cat girl tries to correct him by telling her real name, but all Sensei does is repeat Seiken's name. With the arrival of the breeze, the writer finds a reason to live amidst this insanity. Come what may, he will find Seiken wherever she is. With the red string tied around his wrist, he intends to reunite with the woman of his life so they can continue the plan that went wrong last time. Meanwhile, Annette prays to the gods of Zauberberg to protect this adventurer, hoping to meet him again one day. Contrary to her expectations, her wish is granted sooner than she imagined because it was Sensei opening the door at that very moment. Excited even though she met the guy 20 minutes ago, she runs to him like he returned from war after 4 years of marriage until the cat girl shows up behind him, killing the mood. Not wanting to be involved, Sensei announces he's looking for a lady named Seiken, making the guide go crazy with each new woman entering the story. Whether malicious or not, Annette says she has no idea who that is, so Sensei sets off on his quest without a single clue. The cat girl reassures him that she's sure the lady is somewhere around, and since it's still a long way to her house, she invites her companion to make a stop in the city of Roth Castle. With that, she pulls Sensei by the arm, and Annette immediately shows up to teach the feline a lesson, saying it's absurd to hold a man's hand in public. Confused, the cat girl asks why this woman is following them, but the guide has no answer. With that, the short girl assumes Annette has her eye on Sensei, driving Annette crazy, trying to justify herself in every possible way, emphasizing that her job is to guide the inhabitants of the other world. Hearing this, the cat girl discovers Sensei is not from this planet, which explains explains why he's so strong. Annette is confused because his stats say otherwise, so the girl explains that Sensei killed the Tree of Life with a single attack and saved her life. Imagining that her rescue created an intimate bond between them, Annette starts feeling sick with jealousy, kneeling and exuding a dark aura while cursing the cat girl. Ignoring the drama, Sensei finds a perfect bed for himself and announces he's going to take a nap and to wake him when they reach the city. He bids farewell to Annette and Tama before closing the coffin. The cat girl complains that's not her name, making the guide laugh and boast she was called by the correct name. The journey truly begins with Annette pulling Sensei's coffin by a rope, which snaps from the force she exerted. In the late afternoon, in a palace located somewhere in this unknown world, a young maiden gazes at the beautiful sea view from a balcony.